What we're going to do, we're going to have a couple different people coming up to kind of touch on different aspects of it. And so if we're all there, what we're going to do is we're going to read it. And it says, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregations of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish." Emphasis on the first verse. It says, "Blessed is the man." Can everybody say man? Man. Blessed is the man. Everybody say man. Man. As we come today, as we talk about iRefuse, understand refuse. Let's break that down for a second. Refuse means to do what? What y'all got? To go against. What else? Deny. What? To not accept. All right. And so as we look at manhood, biblical manhood, and we look at worldly manhood, what we're going to talk about first is separation. Can everybody say separation? And so as we continue to talk about refuse, as we look at to deny, or either to not accept, or either to deny access to, one of the things that we look at too is the word fuse. Anytime you put the prefix "re" in it, it means to do it again, correct? Ah, okay, y'all didn't know y'all was going to English class, did you? And so when we look at fuse, what does fuse mean? To join. What else? To ignite. And so in one sense, when we say "I refuse," we deny, or either we do not accept the standards of the world, but in the other sense, we ignite the standards of God in our lives. You got it? So much of us about saying "I'm not going to do" is just as much about saying what I am going to do. And a lot of times we spend so much time running away from what's wrong instead of running to what's right. But the scripture says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." So the hope and the goal for today is that we will leave here denying the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. We'll be denying living a life of the unwicked. We'll be denying living a life that's full of pride. We'll be denying, or either we will be refusing all of those things, but at the same time, we will, in a sense, experience personal, intimate, internal revival that will cause us to chase after God with a new fervor. Everybody shout, "I refuse." As we look at the separation, everybody say separation. What we got in separation, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 15. 2 Corinthians chapter 15, New Testament text. And I'm going to get somebody to read that. 2 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 45 through 49. If I can get a volunteer. Got a mic. 2 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 45 through 49. You got it. 1 Corinthians. Yes, 1 Corinthians. My bad. 1 Corinthians. Yeah, I refuse. You know what's funny? I looked that up right before. I was like, man, for some reason, I don't feel like 2 Corinthians got 15 chapters. Just for some reason, some odd reason. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. I just want to make sure y'all was awake. Who's going to read it for me? You got it, Smack? You know you used to spitting on the mic, spitting on the ones and twos. 45 through 49.
And it reads, "So it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit. The spiritual did not come first, but the natural. And after, and after the spiritual, the first man was of the dust of the earth, the second man from heaven. As was the earthly man, so are those who are of the earth. And as is the man from heaven, so also are those who are of heaven. And just as we have borne the likeness of the earthly man, so shall we bear the likeness of the man from heaven."
Sweet. Another way it says this. It says the first Adam became a living being. Everybody say Adam. Okay, also in this thing we'll see in verses earlier in verse 21. 1 Corinthians 15. It says, for since by man came death, by man also came the resurrection of the dead. And what we see is in verse 22, it says, for as in Adam all die, even so in Christ all shall be made alive. When we go back to Genesis and we look at the fall of man, one thing that we see that Adam was created in the likeness of God. God said, let us create man in our image, which means that God didn't have some crazy idea and try to make up some new design. God said, I already know how he needs to look and what I want him to look like. But also, as he created Adam, if you look at the story in Genesis 1 and in Genesis 2, you'll see when he created Adam, he gave him authority. He gave him authority, and he says, look, you got authority over all of creation. You name the animals. You make sure everything is working right. You steward over this. This is your job, Adam. Matter of fact, if you want the lion to stop roaring, you tell him, shut up. He had the authority. If you want the giraffe to stop running, you tell him stop. He had the authority. If he wanted the squirrel to be named a squirrel instead of a raccoon, he named the squirrel. And guess what we call it today? Squirrel. Yeah. And so when we look at Adam, and he was created in God's image. Here's one of the things that God told Adam to do. He says, hey, man, you got authority over everything. You can eat from any tree except for one tree. This tree you can't eat from. It's the knowledge of good and evil. In other words, the tree of life. He says you can eat from any other tree, but don't eat from this one. Adam can do everything else, but don't eat from this tree. What was the one thing they told Adam not to do? So then God says it's not good for man to be alone. And so he says, no, I can't find a suitable helpmate. So he tells Adam, he puts Adam to sleep. Adam's in a deep sleep, and he brings Eve from her. Everybody say Eve. Y'all know what Eve is, right? Woman. Y'all got it? So like when she came out, Adam was like, whoa, man. Yeah. And so what happens is, and now you got Eve, she's created out of glory. So you can imagine how beautiful she is, right? I mean, God, this is the first woman. She is the standard of beauty. Everything that you could possibly imagine and think of, boom, God made it for Adam. Then, so a little later on, they're walking in the garden, and you're going to find a lot of us right here. So then Eve had a conversation with a snake. Number one, if an animal starts talking, you should not talk back to it, okay? Just walk away, act like nothing happened. Y'all got it? And so as the animal was talking, the serpent was talking to Eve, he says to Eve, hey, God didn't really, when he said about don't eat from the tree, he said you should surely die. He said you ain't going to die. And Eve was like, for real. But God said I died. Eve said, for real. And then so Eve ate from the tree. And then guess what she did? She gave to Adam. Adam, hey man, taste this. This tastes good. Adam already knew he wasn't supposed to eat from it. Notice when Eve ate from it, nothing happened. But when Adam ate from it, now what happens is sin enters the world. Why? Because the biblical man, or the man of God, is supposed to be separated to the point that he's not led by woman, but he leads woman. And so at the moment in time, Eve could have ate the fruit. This is just my philosophy. Eve could have ate the fruit. If Adam would have eaten it, sin would have entered the world. But out of one man, now sin enters the world, and everybody got to die. This is one person I will fight when I get to heaven. Adam. I will walk in, say, God, it is good to see you, and I will punch Adam in his jaw or kick him in his, y'all got it. Why? Because out of one man, Adam, the only thing you had to do was eat from the tree. And you're going to listen to her. And then listen to what he says. Then when God comes through the garden and he says, and he comes through the garden and because they hiding from him. Here's the thing, they ate from the tree, then they naked, you know what I'm saying? They're covering up. Out of everything, they grab a leaf. They could have killed a lion, put a fur on, anything. They grabbed the leaf so they walk around like this, right? Y'all ever got embarrassed before? Somebody walked in, you weren't expected, and you was naked, you just did this move right here. Don't act like it, you know what I'm saying? You was peeing, you forgot the door was unlocked. And you was like, yeah. Oh, snap. Right, then you peed on the toilet seat. Yeah. Maybe just me. Okay, cool. And so there's that shock factor. And the shock factor was that they realized they was naked. And God was like, who told you you was naked, right? And so when God comes to the garden, you see one of the biggest characteristics of man, the Achilles heel of true manhood, fear. Because when God enters into the garden, he asks him, he says, Adam, where are you? Adam, with his idiotic self, says, I'm hiding. Who plays hide and seek and tells somebody where you are? He says, I'm hiding. And when he says I'm hiding, why did he hide from his creator? Because he was scared. The Achilles heel of manhood is fear. And what the fear is, we are afraid that if we stand up for what God told us to, that we would not be accepted, we would be embarrassed, we're afraid of shame, we're afraid of being alone, so we rather follow women around. How do I know we rather follow women? You ever seen a girl walk past and a dude do just like this? He's following her. This is why people get addicted to sexual activity. Why? Because we're following sin. We're following instead of leading. When we take the authority that God has given us over our own lives, you shouldn't run from God. One of the biggest lies that's been told is that God hates you and he doesn't want you. He doesn't, like, if you mess up, he wants to get rid of you. No, that's a big lie. When Adam fell, God came to them. They did not go to God. We have a misunderstanding of who God is. If I can get you to misunderstand who God is, there's no way you can be a biblical man. That's where it starts. So people can say that they're a man of God all they want, but until they allow the Bible to be their reflection, they're really not godly. It's like trying to put something together without the instructions. You might get at some point, but watch this, in about 2 to 3 weeks, that chair going to start wiggling. That table going to start being messed up. It's going to start being messed up. You ever notice, you ever see the pride of man? It comes out little stuff like this. You buy a package, the instructions right here. What you do? No, I don't need them. That's the same thing Adam did. Instructions, don't eat from the tree. No, I don't need it. Why? Because he thought he had it himself. And so when we look at this idea of fear, some of the things that men are afraid of, and here's the funny thing is, a lot of men don't like to admit that they're afraid. Well, you ain't got to raise your hand. It's fine, because I know you're probably scared. I told this story one time. We was at the house, me and my wife, right? And being married is cool too. We can talk about that. And I remember we was at the house and we heard some big bang at the door or something, right? It just sounded like somebody was about to come in, wave in the 4-4. I don't know. And so we heard the bang at the door. They're like, boom. Sherelle says, ah! I was like, I tried not to scream. And she was like, baby, I was scared. You know what I said? Yeah, I was a little nervous. But why didn't I say I was scared? Because I was afraid to admit that I was afraid. I realized in my life a lot of times fear has been the thing to hold me back. Fear has been the thing to essentially handicap me. You know what? It takes more boldness to stand up in a crowd and say, I don't get down with you, than it does to say, well, I'm just going to go with it. A lot of us work with this whole pack mentality. If you don't run with the pack, you get hunted by the pack. And so then you get scared of the pack, and then you do whatever the pack tell you to do. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And so instead of us being in the sense of saying, hold on, man, I mean more to God. God means more to me than for me to sit back and watch and just join in with people who doing everything and anything that they're not supposed to do. So, just so you don't think I'm yelling, let's go to the text in Psalm 1. As we talk about this, it gives a clear distinction. It says, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. Can everybody say ungodly? A couple things that it says right here. It says walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. And so we're going to break this down. So if you got your Bible, I really want you to get this. Understand this today is about, who's seen Gladiator? Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies, Gladiator, because, what's his name? What's his name? Maximus. Russell Crowe played Maximus. He's Maximus. In other movies, he might be a punk, but in Gladiator, he was the man. And what I liked about it, though, and you'll see he has some similarities to Jesus. Y'all will catch it in a few. It's just one thing I really want to point out. You remember when he came out to the battlefield, what did he do? He drew a line in the sand. And when he drew that line in the sand, know what he pretty much said? You come across this line, you're going to get dealt with. You stay over there, you're good. And them, with their idiotic self, came across the line. Today is about us drawing that line in the sand. It's about us being those warriors. It's about us being that gladiator saying, look, man, if nobody else is willing to fight, even when the odds are against me, because technically he was a king that had to be in a warrior situation. He was already a warrior, but he was demoted to be a slave. But even in that, he did not say, well, you know, because this happened to me, I'm just going to give up, you know what I'm saying, because they betrayed me, you know, it's going to be like this. No, he was like, no, I got to do what I got to do when I got to do it so I can make it done. You know what I'm saying? And so he draws the line in the sand. And so today is about drawing that line in the sand. Today we're going to talk, well, right now we're going to talk about separation. Everybody shout separation. All right, so with separation right here, It says, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. Let's break that down. Counsel of the ungodly. Ungodly means to be wicked or either hostile to God. And basically what it means now when it says walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, I'm going to sum it up like this. It means that I don't listen to people who are not godly to tell me how to be godly. Okay. All right. Also counsel. Counsel tells you where to go, what to do, how to do it. So in other words, I have to be careful to what I listen to and what I allow to lead me and guide me. And so when he says walks not in the counsel, understand this psalm is strategically written. The reason why he said walk is because he looks at life as a journey. Anybody who looks at life as just from point A to point B, you got it wrong. How many of us been to the lowest low, been to the highest high and get back low again? There ain't no point A to B. That's more like an A. That's more like an A to zero. You skip from alphabet to numbers. And you just always going up and down. Sometimes life is sometimes you'll be at point D, and next thing you know, you're back at point B, and then you're back at point E, and next thing you know, you're like, hold on, what is life all about anyway? A lot of times when we get to this point, you look at the maturity of man, a lot of things that's hard for us to realize is that there has to be a separation. We spend so much time trying to fit in. We spend so much time trying to hide. We end up being like Adam. We're covering up with things that we're not supposed to cover up with. So it says walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. I got a quick story for y'all. I played football for Bridgewater College, and one of my boys, his name was Doug, Lawrence Frierson, my dude, right? We was much like each other. I remember I'm walking with God. I think it's my let me see, what year did I walk? Okay, it's my junior year. My junior year was classified by that was like everything that I thought I had stopped doing, it came back up. I'm talking about, y'all ever been in a situation, no, I ain't gonna call her no more, then all of a sudden she call you? No? Dang, just me. Okay, all right, cool. You ever been in a situation, I ain't gonna go to the party, then the party come to you? You know what, I ain't gonna look at no pornography, then all of a sudden you get the pop up? Yep, all of a sudden you get the email to remind you that you're subscribed to something? No, I ain't gonna smoke. Then somebody come, hey man, I got this right here. Come on. I ain't gonna drink. Then all of a sudden it just comes to your door. Yeah, this was my junior year was all about that. Everything I said I won't go do, that Jay was like, yo, what's up, Chris? Right? And so this girl, right, me and her was cool, we was friends, and then I thought I really messed up at this point, right? I went cold turkey, so I hadn't touched a female in 2 years, and that was whew, I was clean. I was celebrating. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, I gave some hugs, ah! So one time, right, I'm just being testimonial here. So the girl, she stopped by the room. It was 11:30, and curfew was at 12. I'm an RA, and I was like, hey. So I got nervous. I didn't know what to do, right? Knew how to pull them, didn't know how to reject them. I was all jacked up, right? And so I started playing gospel music because I was like, okay, I need some help. So I'm in this job thing, Hezekiah Walker playing, and I don't know, I'm talking about I went church music, you know what I'm saying? You know, we had that day clap, right? I was and I knew I messed up because when you get that feeling, you need stop. Okay, right? And so I was in this situation, right? And then you know how you don't even ask for nothing, it just happened. See, this is what messed me up. It was never that easy before. Before you had to have a combination, left, right, boom, and then she smiled. But this Jane was like, hey, what you want? Like, hey, what you, and then, let's just say, okay, so what happened? So here's the thing, it didn't even go that far. So we kissed, right? Some people say make out, right? And I got so scared because I touched a guy, I thought I was relapsed. I thought I was done. And I got nervous, and so it was like, hey, I opened the door, you gotta go. So I went to one of my boys, right? One of my boys, I went to him. I said, hey, man, it was after Bible study. So I did both of them. I walked in the counsel of the godly and the ungodly, and I got all jacked up from both of them. So I went to church. I said, hey, man, it was like you finished, you just working out, running, you were scared or something. Hey, man, I messed up, man. I really messed up. I was like, man, what happened, man? Man, I messed up. What happened? Man, I messed up. Man, what happened? Okay. Man, me and this girl was chilling, man. We kissed. He's like, man, you're a better man than me. I would have went all the way. All right, y'all talking about battles of flesh and spirit. My flesh was like, oh, man, I missed out. My spirit was like, yes. But then I went to my boy, who's not saved, right? That was the saved one. See, you got to be careful. At this time, I realized, I said, okay, obviously God is calling me to something else. Because the average, quote-unquote, godly man still would have failed. That was nothing but the hand of God, because I promise you, all of me I was about to lay my body down as a living sacrifice at that moment. All of me. We're going in, you know what I'm saying? And so then I went to my boy, away football game. Football games are great, you know what I'm saying? Because you get the time in the hotel, you know what I'm saying? Y'all be chilling. That's when the real talk. Because you know you're a little nervous. You don't admit that you're nervous, but you're also hyped. So everything just be coming out, right? So you be like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Hey, man, I got this girl, man. You know, I don't really know what I should do. And here's the thing. I tried to make her a real Christian because she was going to a campus ministry, right? And I was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You got a Bible? She's like, no, I don't have a Bible. Did you read it? She's like, no, but I go to the campus ministry. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to give you a Bible. Because I figured if I could make her a Christian, it'd be okay for me to be with her. That was wrong. If she wasn't already walking for God before, why can I make her what I need her to be? Remember, God sent Eve to Adam. Adam didn't make Eve. So I was all jacked up. So I talked to my boy. I said, hey, man, you know, I got this girl, man. I don't know what I should do, man, because we had kind of, you know, had a little run-in and stuff. He was like, man, he said, man, you know, Bob, that was my nickname. Bob, man, I know you're a godly man and everything. He said, man, but every now and then, man, you need something to hold too. What, duh? Need something to hold. So then in me, I'm like, all right, so one dude, I went to the church. I'm telling you, I was real naive, man. A lot of people think I was like a Christian. No, I was really naive. I was like, I went to the church. They told me I was better, so at least as long as I don't have sex, I'm all right. What's wrong? You do just, man, fornication happened in your mind a long time before you actually take off the clothes and get all that, right? And then so I got caught up in this moment, and I had to have a time with God. And I realized, I said, God, I can't allow other men to be my standard, but I gotta allow you to be my standard. So I broke it off with the girl. She ended up crying all this stuff and all that, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'd rather hurt you like this than to taint you forever. And I realized her worth was much more than what I would have been able to give her at that time. And here's the thing. If I only look at the woman as a piece of meat and a place for pleasure, I'm always going to miss it. If I only look at other people as for what they can give me, I'm always going to miss it. And then I end up operating in selfishness. Selfishness is the root to a lot of the stuff that we do. We're selfish, man. The last thing Jesus told us to do was go ye therefore make disciples of every nation, baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And what he meant by this is be unselfish. Be unselfish, but we're so selfish. It's about what I want. It's about when I want it. It's about how I can get it. The separation of the godly man, number one, you don't walk in the counsel of the ungodly. Who cares what the world says? The world can't get you into heaven. The world can only set you up for a one-way ticket to hell. Who cares what everybody else is doing on campus? Who cares what everybody else is doing around the block? Who cares what everybody else is doing wherever you are? If you made a commitment to God, separate yourself. We don't work for us to fit in. It says the blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. And here's the thing, the ungodly, they're hostile towards God. Proverbs 14:12 and Proverbs 16:25 said there's a way that seems right to man, but leads to destruction or either leads to death. People will tell you a lot of good stuff. But if it's not backed up with the text, man, chuck deuces, tell them kick rocks. I don't know about you, but I got tired of being misled. See, I was always aggressive. So when the dude told me, man, you better than me, man, I took that thing personal. I wanted to fight him. I ain't gonna lie. Like I'm looking up to you and you're gonna leave me like, man, I'll punch you in your mouth. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. I was literally agitated. And you have to come to the point. You got to be aggressive for your righteousness. If somebody's not for the betterment of that, get them out the way. Because the only thing they're gonna do, they're gonna justify it when you want to do something wrong. And then you're walking in the counsel of the ungodly. Just because they're in the godly place don't always mean they got the godly counsel. Number one, we got to change what we're listening to. This is why I tell people, I don't tell people don't listen to secular music. I'm just saying whatever they're saying really ain't got nothing to do with what I'm trying to do. That's the counsel of the ungodly. Man, I don't know about you. I think it was ludicrous. You know that whole song, Move, get out the way, right? Man, I remember one time I had my 300ZX bumping that J, 210s, right? I'm boom, 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 right? I'm hyped. And then, you know what? I almost had road rage when I saw a slow car in front of me. Why? Because the song is just telling me, move, get out the way, get out the way. I'm listening to man, I say, I'm about it. Like, I can't wait for somebody to come in and just look at me wrong. That's what I was listening to. Think about it. You listen to enough R&B songs, they keep it, man, let me take you to a place nice and quiet. Yeah, I took it back. That's where I was. Better not nobody interrupt. No accountability. Look, I'm bold with my sin. I'm going to take it nice and slow. What do you think going to happen when the girl come in? If you watch pornography enough, what you think gonna happen when a girl walk by, she ain't got that many clothes on? You already got the DVD set in your mind. I tell people, I ain't had to watch pornography. I watched enough. Then after a while, I just changed the face. Got what I need. All in here. So I want nothing for me to imagine. Why? Because that's the counsel of the ungodly. To just stare, that's the counsel of the ungodly. Man, one time I was messing with somebody, right? I was like, does it ever frustrate you? I think me and Roy, we was in the conversation. Does it ever frustrate you that you are attracted to one of the most filthiest parts of the body on a female? If a turd was hanging out, would you still look? And it shows that we are attracted to filth. I'm going to look. It says, blessed is the man that does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor in the path of sinners. Again, here it is talking about this journey. Understand sinners. I'm going to talk about this for a second. There's a difference in struggling and submitting. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. There's a difference in struggling and submitting. Here's the thing. People who struggle, you're fighting for righteousness. You got to struggle. You're legitimate. It's hard. You know, you ever say, I'm going to do right, and you still struggle to do wrong? That's what I'm talking about. That's struggle, because you're fighting to do right. Now, I'm not saying that you got to be perfect when you leave here, but I'm saying you got to be leaving here with a struggle in mind. Like, dude, I'm going to fight for righteousness. But submitted is, okay, well, here it is. I'm going to do it because I want to. I'm going to do it just because it feels good. I'm going to do it anyway, no matter what people say. I'm just going to do it. That's submitted. The path of the sinner says my whole journey about life is doing whatever I want to, whenever I want to, however I want to, and seeking whatever I need to seek. This is the path of the sinner. The path of the righteous is saying, God, I can't do what I want to do, so I'm going to do what you want me to do. And so you follow God. The path always insinuates following. One of the songs on the Man Up CD, which is my favorite, it talks about authority, right? And it tells a bow down. You know what I'm saying? That whole piece. We're going to bump it. It's pretty crunk. But the thing is, it says you can't lead unless you follow. I've switched up the words. So in other words, a lot of men look at authority as saying, look, I got authority and you're going to do what I say do. But you can't have that authority until you did what somebody else told you to do, which is Jesus. So the path of the sinner says, I am God myself. And here's the thing. Nobody really uses that terminology. When you decide not to follow God, when you decide to do whatever you want to, you know what you just say? I'm God. God, you're not God. I'm God. That changes a little bit, don't it? Well, I'm going to just watch this. You just say, I am God. I know I shouldn't cuss this person out, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm God. Yeah. That's a different perspective. Why? Because when you look at the term God, God literally just means a governing authority. And there's only one God who is the governing authority. And so when you take that authority from God, you essentially say, I am my own God. I'm the president of me. I'm the superior of me. I'm the Lord of me. And in the world of me, you know where you're going to go? To destruction, to death. Sum it up, hell. Because that's what happened to Satan. He was the president of me. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. It says, no walk in the path of the sinners. All right, so here's the next thing. It says, nor sit in the seat of the scornful. Understand, sit means to occupy. It means to occupy a space with purpose. One purposely puts themselves in the position of a sinner. To sit in the seat of the scornful, this means I didn't accidentally fall. You know, you had the times you didn't mean to, like I was saying, the girl came over, that was like an accident. The next time I would have set that up. Sitting in the seat of the scornful is saying, here's sin, and here's the seat of sin. You know what? I'm comfortable here. I'm going to take a seat here. And a lot of us live in this seat. You didn't trip there. You said, I want to occupy my space there. Y'all follow me? And a lot of times when we do that, the scornful basically are those who mock God. You ever had the situation when you say, I'm believing in God, I'm believing in God, I'm believing in God, and then as soon as something bad, you got that one person like, so where's God now? That's the scornful. They mock God. Oh, you want to live righteous. Oh, yeah, you say you're going to live pure, but look at you now, you still struggling. They're mocking God. Oh, yeah, you said you won't go cuss nobody out. Yeah, you might have got mad. A couple words might have flew out your mouth, but that wasn't your goal. And so the scornful says, look at you. You said you was a man of God. You said you go to church. But look at you now. You just like me. That's the seed of the scornful. So here's the thing. The same one that counsel the ungodly are the same ones that when you fall, they're going to be the ones that beat you down. Or here's the other thing. They're going to celebrate when you do it. You ever had the people that was hyped when you fail? You show up to the party, it's a whole different story. I was the one, they was mad when I came. It was, hey, you in the wrong place. Hey, stop the music, stop. Hey, Chris, you got to leave. Some of us, we walk in, they be like, oh, it's good to see you. You know, the party can start now, man. I got your favorite drink. Here's your girl, boom, pow. And they celebrate it. That's still mocking God. People who celebrate you to live in sin, that's shooting you up with poison. The seed of the scornful, this is what we do. This is what they do. And so here's the thing. As AJ touched on in the spoken word, 3 things that we got to be aware of: lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. And here's the thing. I'm going to read it from the New Living Translation. It says, do not love this world, nor the things it offers you. For when you love the world, you do not have the love of the Father in you. For the world offers only a craving for physical pleasure, a craving for everything we see, and pride in our achievements and possessions. These are not from the Father, but are from the world. And this world is fading away, along with everything that people crave. But anyone who does what pleases God will live forever. In James chapter 4, verse 4, it says that to be friends with the world is to be enemies with God. And I want to read this, and we're about to finish this session right here, 2 Corinthians chapter 4. It says, we're talking about the separation of man and God. And I want to read this. It says, we always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. For we who are alive are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that his life may be revealed in our mortal body. So then death is at work in us, but life is at work in you. In other words, what he's saying in Galatians, Paul also said, it's no longer I who live, but it's Christ who lives through me. The separation of the godly man is this: you don't live for yourself, but you live for Christ, and Christ lives in you. When we look at this idea of the first Adam, he was stricken by fear. The first Adam was disobedient. The first Adam allowed sin to come into the world. A lot of us, we're living under that curse of the first Adam. We look more like the first Adam. The second Adam, the reason why we call Jesus the second Adam, in the first Adam, death came into the world. The second Adam, God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, and life came into the world. So therefore, we have to see it like this. The second Adam, being Christ, is that this is who I follow, and this is who I live after. This is who sets the example for me. Fellas, today, we want to break the curse of the first Adam in our lives. We want to break the curse of living in shame. We want to break the curse of living in fear. We want to break the curse of living in perversity. We want to break the curse of living in passivity. Y'all know what passive is? That's what Adam was. Hey, Eve came to Adam and said, hey, you want to taste the fruit? Well, babe, we're not really supposed to eat the fruit. Come on, boy, taste the fruit. Well, babe, no, don't want to eat the fruit. Come on, you're going to eat the fruit. Okay. Y'all ever seen how much power women have over men? They can tell us do anything. He was running his mouth. Go punch him in the face. Man, I don't even know, man. Let's go. And we just follow it. We just follow it.